Hello and welcome to Cranky Commentaries. As always, I'm your host, Jake Del Mastro, and as always, I'm joined by my very good friend and co-host, Keaton Bauer. Hello, Keaton.
I know something you don't know.
What do you know?
You know, the whole time we've been doing the podcast, from the start, from the very first episode, I've been using my left hand to do it. But you know what?
Yeah?
I'm not left-handed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you switched the glasses.
Oh.
Because that was also, didn't he also say I know something you don't know or something? Like,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I know something you don't know. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Similar.
Why are
yeah.
you laughing? It's like,
Yeah.
I switched the glasses! So, how's it using your left hand? Are you going to get much better?
Oh yeah, well you'll just you wait. The podcast from here on out is
From
gonna be
here on
like-
out, the podcast is going to be so much better because you're using your right hand.
I'm using.
You're not
yeah, I'm
left-handed.
using- No, I'm not. I'm using my dominant hand now.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows. But that's we're doing the Princess Bride Part 2. Not that there's
Wait. Okay, that was just making me think of, is Carrie Ellis left-handed?
Good question. I mean, we've learned from our past Google searches that
That it's
Google
hard to
searches is
find
not-
reliable information on this.
It's not reliable sources, really. I think people
Unless you
just,
can
like,
unless you can straight up find somebody in an interview saying, I am
Exactly.
this handedness.
I think people just like look at what hands they use in the movie and then just like make assumptions.
Yeah, but I
based
mean,
on
when
that.
somebody's playing a character, you can't exactly like go
Exactly.
off that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because there could be something in the script that very specifically says they use this hand, right?
Exactly, yeah. And a character could specifically be.
A character could be left-handed and the actor not be. Although, if they have to sword fight, Although, he does sword fight with his left hand in this movie.
Yeah, they do. They do both.
So
don't they?
we can't actually tell from anything that happens in the movie whether or not he's right or left-handed because
What
I
does he
didn't
use-
notice that he was specifically bad at doing it left-handed.
What hand does he point at the end when he points at Prince Humperdinck?
Well,
when
I
he's
don't
like,
know.
"Drop your sword." What is it? What? I think it's his
I
right hand.
suspect it's probably his right hand. If
I
his
think it
character is
is.
supposed to be right-handed.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that's a good aside to start the episode off. with.
Yeah. But handedness, important facts.
Yeah. You got to get those.
Actually,
you
we
know-
have no facts. It's all speculation.
Yeah, that was yes.
That part was, not the podcast in general. We have many facts in store for you.
We do have many facts, but yeah, that particular conversation's also
Might even have some true facts later on.
There might even be. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so let's just this week we're going to talk about just the production because last week we talked about the pre-production, kind of the whole lead-up situation as we always do.
Yep.
But the main takeaway from last week was basically they tried to apparently they tried to make this movie a number of times and it came closer than I thought
Oh, really?
to being made 2 different times. Once
Was William Goldman involved both times, or
yeah, both times, because apparently he got approached basically immediately after the book came out by 20th Century
Right.
Fox, was interested in making a movie,
Yeah.
basically instantly.
Mhm.
So the first incarnation, I don't exactly know when this was, but the first incarnation, the funding was pulled out from under them, so that fell
Mhm.
apart. And then the second one, he said the president of the production company or the studio got fired just before they were about to start like putting it together. So
Right. Well, so maybe
killed
that's
the
why it was
project.
so good, because William Goldman had 2 attempts prior to this.
Yeah, he was thinking about it a lot. Yeah, he had been
Yeah.
thinking
Well, I
about
mean,
it since.
like, did he actually write scripts for both of them?
I don't know. I don't think they got very. I don't think they got very
Okay, you
far.
don't think it got that far?
But I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, so then obviously Rob Reiner is the one to make the film. He gets
Rob
it.
Reiner makes it happen.
Yeah, he gets it together. He gets the script. He's like he talks to Bill Goldman, and Bill Goldman is like, he's like, okay, who's this Rob Reiner guy? I'll see if you know, I want to, you know, hitch my wagon or whatever. Hitch my, what is it? What is that saying? Hitch my horse to his wagon.
Well, isn't Hitch My Wagon good enough?
Hitch my wagon to your horse.
I don't know.
Anyway, the point being, he wanted to, before he started doing business with Rob Reiner, he wanted to see what he was doing, so he watched Spinal Tap, and apparently he thought it was fucking hilarious. So
yeah, well, it
he
is.
was like, yeah, it is. He liked it, so that's. I mean, you never know with these old Hollywood types. They might
What?
not.
Bill Goldman?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They
he
might
was
not.
kind of like pseudo Hollywood. So
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
yeah.
That's true. But yeah, so that's basically, yeah, they got it squared away. So this week we're going to talk about the production and, as you say, perhaps some true facts. A little bit about the soundtrack as well, because as we
Yes.
mentioned last week, that was
Important factor.
it is, yeah, it's a notable factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, let's start her off.
Let's get into it,
Let's get into it.
as some other podcasts might say.
As I might say, yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
are a podcast. You know,
Yeah.
we have. Well, let's get into it. Yeah, you're
Let's
right.
get into it. Yeah.
Let's get into it. It's a good lead-in phrase. It's like
Yeah.
it's not boring necessarily. Anyway,
Well, we're not getting into it, so
yeah,
let's
I
do
know.
it.
Exactly. Let's do it. Let's get into it. So they
By
started
the way,
shooting-
if somebody can prove us wrong and we do actually say that, let us know.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think we did, but I
yeah,
could be wrong.
I'm sure we have an equivalent.
Yeah.
like-
Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So they began shooting in 1986. Super tight knit group. I don't think it was a huge. I mean, there were like a lot of extras at times, but I think generally it was a pretty small cast, right?
Mhm.
And crew. And they all stayed at the same hotel and everything, so they're super tight knit. Both, especially Carrie Elwes and Robin Wright were both talking about how close everybody was.
Mhm.
And actually, I have a quote from Robin right here. If you wanna read that from her.
Yeah, so she said basically about the casting crew. Like, it was the warmest family. We stayed at the same hotel and ate together downstairs. Rob rented a house, and we would go over there. They could cook dinner, and somebody would pull out this guitar and sing songs. Rob would sing. It was a real family, and we laughed so much. Yeah, sounds like a good time.
Does sound like a good time. And that's I think that's because I watched a few interviews with Rob Reiner, and he really seems to when in terms of directing, he seems to want the people around him to be having a good time. And I mean, he literally says as much.
Yeah.
In the quote, he says,
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy.
He seems like a really good director. Like every actor that on this film, and as I recall on Spinal Tap as well,
Yeah.
was called him an actor's director who he makes you feel like you're part of the situation, unlike perhaps a Kubricky fellow who does the actor is just there they're basically a mannequin. Imagine if they were acting robots, how happy.
Well, I'm sure he wishes they were. I mean, I don't know if he would. Because he was also no, let's not get off topic here.
Yeah, sorry. That's a horrible side
rabbit hole
for us.
Yeah.
Point being, this is a fun time. Rob Reiner's an actor's director, and he said about it, he said, I like to have people around me feel like they're having a good time. Creatively, it helps them contribute, I think. If a movie you've been involved in comes on, it's like watching home movies. You want to have a fond memory of the day we went to the castle and we sang inside the room there. So I think that's
interesting. I like that perspective on it, because I think that there are a lot of directors who go back and watch their movies, John Carpenter, for example, who just can't get past like all the shortcomings.
Yeah, well,
and like just they can't rewatch their movies. Whereas he was, Rob Reiner is actually saying like he likes to watch it because of all the around the things that it reminds him of.
The great memories, and I think that's super interesting, and I think it's super telling. It shows that he makes the movies for himself, basically. Like,
exactly,
he's making it for him. He's not, you know, that's it for him because he wants to. It's a home movie.
Exactly, it's good.
Yeah. But so everyone loved working with him. Everyone was saying like gushing about him. So they shot in the UK, as I don't know if it's clear, but
it's pretty clear. But although that's not entirely true, that it was all shot in the UK. Most of it was shot in England, but significant part of it was shot in Ireland.
Oh, I see. My bad.
Yeah. So.
My bad. I didn't realize. Where in Ireland?
The Cliffs of Insanity. The Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, right, of course.
Actually, let me double check this.
Of Insanity.
Yeah, in County Clare.
Fuck yeah.
Mind you, I think that might have been second unit footage. I'm not 100% sure.
Could be. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, almost all of the film was shot in England.
Yeah, almost all of it.
Yeah. Including the bit that was in Chicago.
Yeah, including.
Or never explicitly do they say it was Chicago.
But presumably. Maybe it's in
Scarborough?
Astoria.
Sorry, Astoria?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, because it's Wayne's World.
Astoria? You mean Aurora?
Aurora, yeah. Sorry, what's Astoria? Oh, that's Oregon. That's the Oregon town where all the movies are made. Sorry, my bad. I'm getting my film stuff mixed up.
I was very confused at that.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, different coasts, basically. Different sides of the country. Anyway, so they
Isn't Astoria also in Queens?
Oh, is there?
No, yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was thinking of the movie one.
Unimportant information.
So yeah, Fred Savage's bedroom was shot in a studio, but the castle, well, most of the castle was a real estate, which was called Penhurst Place, or maybe it's Penhurst Place. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it.
I don't know. I'm not British.
Yeah,
their place names make no fucking sense.
Yeah, exactly.
The way you pronounce them, yeah.
It's probably Penhurst. Penhurst
I have no
Place.
fucking clue. It could be pronounced fucking Penshurst.
It could be it could be something fucking weird. Anyway,
it could be like Penlurst.
Yeah, it could be like Penslar or something.
Yeah.
Like something totally unrelated, they're fucking weird. With their with their letters and their names and their pronunciations and their shires instead of shires.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the interesting thing I thought was super cool is they on top of this it's already a pretty fucking like extravagant castle, like with intense grounds, but they built like some fake. So turrets.
Is it actually a castle or is it just like a big house?
I think it's
like
kind of like both. I think it's more of a manor than it is a castle, but it's got some like stone elements.
Yeah. Because I don't know if they ever give you like a good like wide shot of the castle.
They give you one wide shot basically, but for that wide shot, they like built fucking turrets and stuff. They like basically built a bunch of sets into this manor.
Okay, cool.
But like not like in all of it. A lot of the sets were actually shot in Shepperton Studios, which is a famous studio.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was shot there.
Yeah, like Alien and The Elephant Man.
Yeah,
But it's been open since like the 30s, so literally tons of stuff. So yeah, at the studio that's where they built the fire swamp, which is pretty impressive set. It's a good set. Like it's clearly a set. There's a lot of like the sets in this movie.
I assume that's also where the is that also where the forest was, where they with the tree with the hole in it?
Oh yeah. I think so, actually.
Right.
Like at least the scene where they go into it.
Yeah. The Pit of Despair.
The Pit of Despair. Yeah.
The
yeah,
Pit
exactly.
of Despair. Oh, I can't. Pit of Despair.
Yeah, I can't even do it. I'm not gonna try. Well, yes, I think the castle hallway where like Fezzik breaks down the fucking door. Presumably that's the one. They just said it's in a castle hallway. One of those is the in the studio.
Yeah, and then they didn't want to damage the old house.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the shrieking eel. Obviously, the ship that looked cool. I saw a picture of that from like zoomed out, and they're just kind of like in a tank, but the ship is like actually there. It's full size ship in a tank. That's
pretty cool.
Pretty small, and then there's just like a matte painting and like the shoreline. It's just it looked very cool. Everyone should look up a picture of that behind the scenes Princess Bride stuff. And then also the obviously the base of the Cliffs of Insanity where they like hopped on. That was clearly a set as well.
A set, yeah.
But speaking of the Fire Swamps set, the Rob Reiner told a fucking hilarious story about the rodents of unusual size.
The ROUS? ROUSs? The ones that I don't believe exist?
Why don't you believe they exist?
Well, because, the Dread Pirate Robert didn't believe
he
they
says
existed.
they don't exist.
I don't believe they exist, he says.
I don't believe... Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So to play that, they had like little people in the in the suits is what.
Did they have Warwick Davis?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Just because we mentioned him last week, and he was active at the time.
Yeah. I think they would have mentioned him,
Yeah.
but like it might be on IMDb. Let's check. Who played the ROUSs?
I have it open here. Let me see.
Rob Reiner was saying that they had two of them, and they both had like different kind of skill sets at playing the.
So they were not
ROUS.
concurrently in the suit. It wasn't like a 2-man suit.
No. Two different suits. No, it's not like
okay. I have the names here.
All right.
Danny Blackner and Anthony Giorgio.
Yeah, there you go. Those are the RUSs. Have they been in anything else of note?
Yes. Anthony Giorgio has been in Labyrinth.
Wow.
As one of the goblins.
Sick.
And Danny Blackner was an Ewok in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, fuck.
With Warwick Davis. He was in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Damn.
And he was in Labyrinth as well.
Wow, these guys are professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously. Well, this is because, apparently, according to Rob, one of them was really good at, like, sniffing around and, like, doing the, like, the rodent stuff. Whereas the other one was, like, really good at, like, scurrying around, could, like, move really quickly.
So who was the one that did the fight?
That was the one who could scurry. He wanted the one who could scurry for the fight.
Okay, cool.
So they were all there. They were getting ready to shoot it, but like the one who could scurry, he hadn't shown up yet. I don't know which one it was. Like, who is the?
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't
know if we have that information.
Well, I guess maybe we could figure it out if this next information is publicly available. Because he didn't show up to the set because he was arrested. Because he had been pulled over and arrested. At least that's what they made it seem like. They said. Carrie Yule said they booked him, and Rob Reiner said they had to go bail him out to film the scene. But they waited till he was bailed out because they needed the guy who could scurry for that scene.
Oh, okay, wow.
I wonder if you could figure out if one of them got arrested in 1986.
I'm trying to figure this out right now, actually.
Like, is that public information? If it happened in Florida.
Yeah, whatchamacallit? They don't have Wikipedia articles, just so you know. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. Danny Blackner!
Danny Blackner arrested.
He was the one who was, Blackner arrived on set with a long story about being pulled over for speeding the night prior on his way home from the bar, and subsequently being put in jail for a few hours for drinking. Ooh.
So yeah, he was
after the police didn't believe his story of having to work as an actor / stuntman playing a rat.
Yeah, that's right. Because Carrie Ellis was saying that he was like fucking. The cops took him in, and he was like, I'm an actor. I have to get to set.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you're an actor? What do you play? And he's like, I'm a rat.
Okay, so it seems, according to this, this is on the IMDb trivia section.
Okay, I don't know how reliable that is because they don't source that stuff.
No, you're right, but it does have more information than
Go on.
the quote. No, that's just what I'm saying, because
right.
The quote you were saying that that he said that it was
yeah, he was just arrested, or they had to bail him out.
They had to bail him out. It doesn't say that here.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe Reiner was just like a figure of speech.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's great. So what was his Danny Blackner is the guy who
Danny Blackner is allegedly the one that went to the drunk tank, essentially.
But regardless, that means he's the one who could scurry. So he's a good scurrier.
Danny Blackner, also a wait, sorry, which one was he? Was he the Ewok? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Return of the Jedi. That's badass. So Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Ellis, they were obsessed over performing the perfect sword fight because, the point was they were trying to recreate these, old-fashioned...
Well, I think specifically one of the big inspirations was the sword fight in... what was the full name of that Robin Hood movie with Errol Flynn?
Yeah, right. I don't remember the name.
That was actually in color.
Definitely, Rob Reiner he wanted it to be serious, but the actress took it fucking seriously.
The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Yeah, right.
But I find that particularly, because
Carrie Ellis went on...
Well, Carrie Elwes' mustache in the film is
I think
he's dressed up to look like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were saying about why he was like, yeah, he's got this Errol Flynn look to him.
Yeah, he's definitely supposed to be looking like Errol Flynn.
Yeah, they dress him up like that too. So
exactly, with the outfit too.
Yeah, so they were super into getting this fucking fight scene perfect. They wanted it to be awesome.
Yeah, but also because you want it to be awesome because the characters are supposed to be expert swordsmen.
Exactly. You can't...
There's nothing worse than, not looking like a good swordsman if your character's supposed to be a good swordsman.
Exactly. There's nothing worse than that. But yeah, no, that's true. So basically they spent every fucking available moment practicing.
And he has to do it he has to have the fight left-handed too.
Exactly. That's super
both of
interesting.
Them.
Yeah, and they learned... I forget... Shit, what was the stunt coordinator's name?
Peter Diamond?
Yeah, I think that was it. He was saying that, he told them that you guys should learn each other's moves.
Also worked on Star Wars, A New Hope and Empire.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did say that, actually. He did say that. It's coming back to me. That he had also worked on Star Wars, doing the training for the lightsaber fights.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, and Return of the Jedi. So he did all 3 of them.
Right.
So he was with Danny Blackner.
Yeah, exactly. Weird. Some carryover there.
Yeah, we were carryover.
He was saying they should learn each other's fucking steps, so they learn just because, like, you know, it makes it easier to, like, not get hit in the face by someone else's sword.
Yeah, that's true.
When you know where it's gonna be.
Yeah. I wonder if they did ever hit each other in the face while they were practicing.
I think they did a couple of times. I think this is kind of part
Presumably
of the
these are rubber, like, swords, right?
Yeah, well, actually, about that, in the movie, Christopher Guest was saying, he was giving an interview, and he was super excited to do the sword fight scene, because he fights, you know, he gets killed at the end there.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, we said it in the last episode.
I know, I'm joking. But apparently after the first take, Rob told him, he said, "We'll add sound effects later." Because apparently...
Oh, what, was he making sound effects?
Yeah, apparently he was going like, ka-ching, ka-ching,
that's funny, yeah.
And
oh my god, you're right. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, me too. Like, apparently I've heard this was an issue in the later Star Wars films.
Yeah, they would go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, people making Star Wars films now, it's actually an issue. Like, when they're doing
really
fake lightsaber scenes, like, I think they always have to coach people to not do the fucking.
Yeah, because I mean, I totally like, yeah. Like when I was a kid, when we had you had those like extendable lightsabers.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
those, like yeah, you'd fight with those, and obviously you'd be making noises.
I know, it's just so deep in your psyche to do it.
Exactly. You know.
So yeah, he was doing that. He was making clanging sounds. So they had to do another take. And apparently, according to Christopher Guest, Mandy was being pretty like intense during the scene. He was like, oh, I don't want to get fucking. Jokingly, of course, he was like, he's gonna fucking, if you don't hold him back, he's gonna fucking kill me for real or something like that.
Yeah.
But according to Mandy, his father had recently passed away.
Oh, okay.
From
that's
cancer.
Very reflected in the character.
Exactly. It was, and I think he was kind of really taking that on in a personal way. And I don't know.
Well, it shows through in the film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional role.
Yeah.
And he does such a good job with it. Like, it's actually super well acted.
That's, yeah. I mean, he has one of probably the most memorable lines in the film.
Exactly. And, like, apparently the moment was very cathartic for him. Because he was like,
right, yeah.
he said for him it was like, killing the six-fingered man was like killing his father's cancer in a way. It was like kind of... He even said, like, you know, my father was with me for a moment. It was like my own miracle for a second. So he was very, very
into
serious,
the role,
and like, you know,
I can imagine.
He's a very interesting guy.
Yeah.
Every time he talks, it's good stuff. But yeah, so on a slightly lighter note, from Patinkin has a great quote. He said that he was the most injured he ever got on set was from holding in laughter during the scene with Billy Crystal and Carol Kane, who we forgot to mention last week.
Yeah, that was such a good.
And
scene.
Obviously, I'm sure you knew this, and listeners knew this, but like a lot of it was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Which is why, obviously, he had to fight back the laughter.
Well, because he didn't know it wasn't in the script, right?
Exactly. Apparently, Rob would like say action, and then he would leave the room because he couldn't keep it together.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which is hilarious. Like, and Billy Crystal, the way he was describing how he played the role, he was like, I'm
sure he got really into it.
Well, he was like, it was super easy. It's people I knew, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
this was like my uncle or like my my grandfather. Is like, he's really playing these.
Humbudding.
Thank
you for bringing up such a very painful memory.
Apparently, the MLT, the mutton, nice and
lean.
That fucking.
Is that a real sandwich?
No, you made that up.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Because obviously
Mutton's-
BLT's... Sorry?
I mean, it's definitely a real sandwich now, but because
Yeah.
of this movie.
Yeah.
What is mutton again? Is it
It's...
sheep?
Yeah, basically.
Lamb?
Sheep.
Yeah.
Very popular in the UK.
Yeah, not as popular here.
No.
Not as much mutton around.
No. Well, we have fewer sheep.
For shame. We should get more sheep around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could really go for a mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
Yeah, the mutton's nice and lean, and tomatoes
Yeah,
nice
exactly.
and ripe, crisp,
Mwah.
delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of
Is
excellent
there anything better than
personalities.
true love? Yes, a mutton.
Blade.
Maybe a mutton. Yeah. To blaze.
Said to bluff, which means to bluff. That's
Yeah.
what do you think that was improvised? Kind of sound.
It seems like a very. I think maybe he came up with it beforehand and didn't tell him about it.
Right. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know if it was like necessarily he came up because that's a very sophisticated joke.
Yeah, it is, and it's part of the,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rob Runner was saying, like, I love working with Billy Crystal because every time you work with Billy Crystal, like, he does some of the work for you. Like, he comes up
Yeah,
with stuff.
definitely.
He's actually like a brilliant comedic mind, right? So
Yeah,
he
I'd like
can
to
actually-
read what that exchange is like in the book.
Yeah, that's true. That would be an interesting scene to see written.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what Miracle Max is like on paper.
Yeah, because I mean, just because like Billy Crystal is such a singular personality
Yeah, exactly.
that I suspect that he kind of just brought his own thing.
Yeah. I think they were just like, do what you do it. Just
Yeah,
riff.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of fun people, a lot of good people on the set. As I said, tight knit. Apparently, everybody loved working with Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah,
he was
was he a gentle giant?
apparently. Oh yes, extremely gentle apparently, except when he was in the ring.
Except when he was in the ring. Yeah, yeah.
the square
right.
circle.
Yeah. I was about to call it an octagon, but then I realized, oh no, it wasn't an octagon. That's a
something
different
else,
sport.
Is that
Yeah,
UFC
that's
or something?
UFC. That's
Yeah.
MMA. But yeah, yeah, that's an octagon.
But yeah, Rob was like saying, I thought this was hilarious. Rob was like, he had an excellent, and he wasn't trying to make a joke at all, but I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a sick burn. He was like, Andre had these excellent acting skills, because of his wrestling history. But he was like saying that everything he did was like supernatural and like, it didn't seem like he seemed like he knew what he was doing, even though that was
Except for
obviously his.
pronouncing English words.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's fine because at least he in the film like his character doesn't speak. Where is he from?
Greenland.
That's right, Greenland.
I don't think that's what people in Greenland sound like, though.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Apparently, I read this in like a million different places. Came up a bunch of times, but on cold days, because there are some cold days, he would warm Robin right by putting his hand on her head. Just like placing his hand on her head.
Because it was so big.
Yeah, what you're saying is so big that it went from like the back of my neck to like my eyebrows. So it was just like, and he wasn't even like doing anything. He just rested it there, and it was like fucking super warm. And like,
I wonder what his hand span was.
he did like in that. Look at his hands in this movie.
Like, yeah, you could see it.
He's so big, but apparently, actually, he had just recently had back surgery, so that's kind of why I'm thinking maybe that's why his gig in Japan was canceled.
Oh yeah,
because remember from last week he was gonna do a gig in Japan, for $5 million.
Mm-hmm. But maybe he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, exactly. So his back was in real bad shape during this movie.
Yeah.
He couldn't actually bear any weight at all.
Really?
So
But isn't there? What about when he was climbing the rope and he had them on his back?
yeah, it's movie magic, my friend.
Yeah, I imagine they were dummies.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, for when Elvis is like hanging on his back, during that fight scene.
Yeah.
During the full body shots, it's actually a body double.
Oh,
Which
really?
is- I
A
don't
body
even know
double
how
for
it's possible.
Andre?
Exactly. I don't know
Where
how
the
that's possible.
fuck do you find that?
What I'm thinking happened is because they it's a really far away shot, as I recall,
Yeah.
a real wide shot. So I'm thinking they did like a big guy and a smaller person than Cary Ellis.
Oh, okay,
hanging on his
maybe.
back.
Maybe.
That's what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Right, because I was like, how that? Where does one find a body double for Andre
exactly.
the Giant?
Like, the reason he was cast was because that's him. He's
Yeah.
the giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What was I gonna
scene
say?
where-
Oh, what about the guy from Big Fish?
Oh yeah. What
I feel
was-
like they
he-
were a similar size.
Yeah, he could have done it. He could have done
Yeah.
it. That was made like not that long after this. No, that was
No,
two
it was
decades
made like
after.
20 years afterwards. This
So,
movie.
yeah, so he would have been too young.
yeah.
Yeah, also the part where Robin fucking leaps out of the window and he catches her.
Yeah.
Clearly that was Cables, but he was.
Oh yeah, where you just see her like her dress kind of like flowing in the
flutter
wind.
down.
Yeah,
And
it's
then he
like
catches her.
slow mo. So I don't know how they did it exactly.
But that was a great shot. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. But yeah, this is one of those movies that I've seen so many times that sometimes I forget to like pay attention to this cinematography.
Yeah. Speaking
But-
of which, maybe we should do that section now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
How did they shoot it?
Okay, so I was not able to find that much direct information about how they shot this movie, unfortunately. However,
Yeah.
I have some interesting background I think I would like to share.
Okay.
So this film was shot by one Adrian Biddle, who was the
Adrian Biddle.
cinematographer.
Okay.
We have focus puller Martin Hume.
Martin Hume. Okay.
Yes, and so this was shot in a standard 35mm process. Although, it says here that it was shot on a JDC camera, which, from what I can gather, was a type of camera, basically an Ariflex camera modified by this guy named Joe Dunton. Which leads me to believe that this was a relatively early use of the Super 35 format.
Interesting. Weird.
Which was the first use of it was in the sort of early 80s, and it became progressively more popular in the 80s, where it was basically a way of shooting film where you would not shoot the soundtrack, and so you would get more of the film area used
Right.
for
More physical area on the.
yeah,
the
and so
film, yeah.
because a lot of cameras weren't manufactured that way, a lot of at some point all the Super 35 cameras were just regular 35mm cameras, aka like an Aeroflex or something like that that was modified, most often by this guy named Joe Dunton.
That's hilarious.
So that was some interesting background, but I'd like to talk just a little bit about Adrian Biddle because I think
Okay.
he's an interesting guy.
The cinematographer Adrian Biddle.
Yeah, so he is done a ton of shit.
Yeah, what has he done?
So he has
Holy
worked
shit.
on
Yeah, he's done a ton of shit.
Aliens, The Princess Bride, Willow, Thelma and Louise, 1492, Conflict of Paradise, The Mummy.
Holy shit.
The fucking Mummy. Shanghai Nights.
Holy
Another movie
shit.
we've done. He also did The Mummy Returns as well. And the final film he did was V for Vendetta, which was dedicated to him because he died, I think, shortly after making it of a heart attack. But
May
unfortunately,
he rest in peace.
however, I'd like to kind of talk about. So he actually started off kind of just working on ads with Ridley Scott.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how he kind of ended up shooting Alien eventually. Well, shooting Aliens because on Alien he was the focus puller. He was the first AC.
Ooh, there you
And
go.
he actually started off being the second AC on Ridley Scott's earlier movie, The Duelists. The second AC, also being known as the Clapper Loader.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a very common path that
Progression. Yeah, makes sense.
that cinematographers take. Is they start off, you start as second AC, then you become first AC, and then you become the cinematographer.
That's sick.
So, but his first movie actually as the cinematographer was Aliens, which was directed by James Cameron.
Yeah.
Because apparently the original cinematographer, Dick Bush, very unfortunate name, left
unfortunate
because of had some disagreements with James Cameron.
Dick Bush was disgruntled.
Yeah, Dick Bush. and then basically he was replaced on the recommendation of Ridley Scott by Adrian Biddle.
That's awesome.
Notably,
That's
also
awesome.
another thing that Adrian Biddle shot was the classic 1984 Apple Macintosh commercial,
Oh,
which
did he
was
really?
directed by Ridley Scott.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that was directed by Ridley Scott.
You didn't know
Makes
that?
sense.
Yeah. It's.
I mean,
it's,
obviously, now that I'm thinking about it, clearly, yeah.
yeah.
No shit. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So he's
Adrian
kind
Biddle
of
was the-
like. Sorry.
Adrian Biddle worked on that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So Adrian Biddle sort of like, if you could say that he had like a sort of a hallmarks, is that like he tend to be really good at working at very wide apertures. Maybe
Right.
because he did a lot of stuff, spent a lot of time as a focus puller for doing commercials with Ridley Scott. Yeah, just he had sort of just very like I think the very naturalistic look that I think comes across in this film. Although unfortunately I was really disappointed that I wasn't able to find very much actual like technical information on how they did specific shots and things like that, but
Yeah. Like that
you
would
can't
be,
always find that out.
There might be some behind the scenes footage that I didn't see,
Yeah.
but you never know. I'm sure it's out there if you really dig for it.
Yeah.
You gotta really
but,
dig for it, and we're not getting paid enough to
no, maybe
really
not.
dig for it.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting learning about Adrian Biddle and his time working on great movies such as Shanghai Nights and The Mummy.
That's
So
hilarious
actually,
that
we've done a fair chunk of the movies we've done have been Adrian Biddle shot.
yeah, a fair chunk.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean 2. That is a fair chunk.
no 3.
3 now. Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that's true. He's really starting to be one of the most prolific in
We
our,
should we should try to keep track of who pops up the most often.
Yeah, I wonder we could make like a
6 degrees of cranky commentaries.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, okay. Well, if you were to say then who pops up the most, it would probably be somebody in Star Trek.
Yeah, that might have to be like
by default, but like
yeah, that might have to be like aside from Star Trek, keep them
yeah,
separate.
who has the most direct appearances in this podcast?
Yeah, who is it?
I wonder if it's John
wonder.
Carpenter. No, well, we've done more than one of his movies, but I feel like he gets mentioned a lot.
Yeah, we definitely have mentioned him. in
Yeah.
a lot of episodes. Like right now, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
In this
Well, I
episode,
mentioned him
that has
earlier
nothing-
in this.
Yeah, you did.
In this episode too, because
So
he
this is
doesn't like to
second-
watch his movies.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the second time in this episode we've referenced him. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, that's
Makes sense.
that's what I have to say about
That's-
that. You know,
that's
just
what I have to say about
interesting
that.
learning about Joe Dunson and Adrian Bill.
Fuck yeah! All right, well that brings us to our next segment. Some good fucking shit is about to go down. I wanted to look into. I was interested in the Pit of Despair.
Oh yeah. What about the Pit of Despair?
The Machine. Really, I
Did
wanted
you
to
learn
see
all
if-
about suction?
I looked into medieval torture
Oh god.
for quite a while this afternoon. I trying to find anything remotely
Related.
similar to
Did they use
what-
suction?
suction was not really a common thing, although,
I feel like it
seems-
could be very effective in
It could,
torturing.
yeah, it would be really effective. It seems that there's like a lot of fake torture shit out there, like
I am aware of that. Well, because I feel
yeah.
like a lot of stuff was just kind of devised to scare people
yeah,
as opposed to actually being used for torturing.
yeah, exactly. And then also, I think there was just like in the 19th and early 20th century, I think there's just like a boom of people making fake shit.
Also, it's
Um,
like, to torture somebody, you really don't need.
You don't need that
like,
much. Basically,
You don't
everything
need
was just-
complicated shit.
Yeah, most of it is just various forms of crushing and bashing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So you've got your knee crusher,
Yeah.
which is like a knee splitter thingy, which is like it's like a spiked box that your knee goes in, and they like slowly vice it down on your knee.
Mhm.
That one's a rough one. There's a lot of dangling from ropes to dislocate your shoulders. That's a rough
Mhm.
one. The one that I found particularly brutal, but this one was kind of disputed whether or not it was entirely true. Like,
Mhm.
but I have heard more than one instance of it being true. It's basically like Ivan the Impaler style.
You mean Vlad the
torture.
Impaler?
Vlad the Impaler.
You've
sorry.
conflated Ivan the Terrible with Vlad
Ivan the
the Impaler.
Terrible and Vlad the Impaler. Yeah.
Neither
Well,
one of
thank you.
them were nice guys.
Nah, not both pretty bad. But he was like the same kind of idea of like, you put it's just this metal pyramid thingy that you suspend somebody above, and then you put it so they're sitting on the point, and basically you like slowly let their own body weight like impale them
Oh.
on this pyramid. But so it gets
Wait, are they
bigger,
sitting on it?
Yeah,
So it's going into their butt.
yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And it gets bigger and bigger, and like they and they eventually like weigh down your legs and stuff. It's pretty brutal, but I mean
Ugh.
that one might be fake, but what is versions of that where they like basically put you on a plank and like weigh your legs down until you like fucking split in fucking half.
Jeez.
But basically none of this is actually anything like The Machine or The Pit of Despair.
The Pit of Despair uses like water.
The Pit of Despair is a lot. It's like a torture chamber, basically. Right?
Yeah. Didn't they have that like that droplet torture thing? Is that a real thing?
Say that again.
That sort of like droplet torture thing where they like put one droplet at a time on you for a really long time and then
Oh,
it bruises you. Is that a real thing?
I've know if that's a real thing. I didn't hear that that didn't come across in my medieval torture.
Right.
I've heard of that as more of like modern fucking torture.
Well, that's not what waterboarding is. That's different.
no, yeah, that's a different thing.
That's
I
different entirely. But
It seems like they're a lot more heavy-handed in
in the Middle Ages.
in the Middle Ages.
I feel like
yeah.
they overcomplicated it a bit, back then.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
They seem
had
to have
this
some pretty
one-
roundabout methods.
Yeah, well, they had this like one device that was like basically like a lever with like a seat at the end, and this was for witches specifically.
Ugh.
They would like pop the witch on the end of the lever, and then like just dunk you in the river, and so basically.
And if you floated,
exactly.
so
But
it's Monty Python. Well, I guess they
Yeah,
were basing it on something. But speaking of which,
Yeah.
you gotta do that movie at some point.
yeah, exactly. We will definitely do that one. Yeah, and they would put like a sack over your head, so basically like waterboarding, so you got disoriented as you got like
Right.
dumped in and out of the water. I mean, as you say, as I was looking into torture chambers specifically, there's a few like the Inquisition is the most like documented torture chamber era
Mm-hmm.
because they, as you say, that basically the point was to fucking scare people. I mean, they did obviously torture the shit out of people, but
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you don't need that much of a complicated mechanism to cause pain.
exactly. So basically, it was like the plank, which was like a board that you got like tied, your arms and legs got tied to, and they just basically stretched you.
Mm-hmm.
And often the bottom was like spiked, so as they like turned the cranks, it like also like stabbed you.
Okay.
As it tore your limbs and stuff. So that one was kind of a regular one, and then the dangling from the arms was a regular one, and the plank where you like fucking both legs on either side. Those were the three most common ones, it seems. But basically, the torture chamber was this place that was like supposed to be like hell for for prisoners. So it's like you go to like one prison room, and then you go to a smaller prison room, and then you go to a smaller prison room, then they take you to the torture chamber,
Right.
and then they take you back to the smaller prison room, and they're like, are you gonna confess now?
Right, I see, yeah.
And then if you don't confess, then they take you back.
Then they
and
bring you
torture
back, yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
So
the torture chamber is basically the closest similarity we have to the Princess
Right.
Bride.
So
'Cause the Pit of Despair is a lot like an Inquisition style torture chamber, because it seemed like, because didn't he say like pain was his like fucking passion? Like
yeah.
he seemed like he would have a pretty hardcore torture setup.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
like
he had the machine for crying out loud.
pain was his passion. He was like Steve Martin in what was the movie with the plants?
Yeah.
I'll be a dentist. I don't even know his fucking song. Little Shop of Horrors. He was like fucking Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, serious medical question for you.
Yeah.
Is it possible to be mostly dead, but still a little bit alive?
Absolutely. That's a
Do we have
medically-
any documented instances of this?
I think it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think people are with modern medicine, we bring people back from the mostly dead threshold more often than we ever have.
Yeah.
I think people mostly die all the time these days.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are there any celebrities that had like a near-death experience? Like died and then became... Oh, well, there's the, not really the same, but I'm thinking of Cat Stevens.
Oh, yeah. When he almost drowned.
Yeah. But that's kind of a different conversation altogether.
Okay. That's
What?
okay, so I was like, I just Googled mostly dead. And so then one of the results was mostlydead.us. So I clicked on it, and so the thing in the little text that shows when you search it is there's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Mostly dead is slightly alive. So I clicked on it, and then it shows me a like picture of the Grateful Dead logo.
That's pretty funny. They got you.
Oh, I mean, you could say that Jerry Garcia was mostly dead for.
I mean, for the last 5 years of shows, yeah, he seemed he's mostly dead. Yeah, the way he was falling asleep on stage. Oof.
Yeah.
Rough stuff.
Would you say Bob Weir is mostly dead right now?
No, he's full of life.
He's full of life.
Yeah, he's full of life. He's spry.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Who knows what he? Actually, honestly, who knows what he's like beneath the mustache?
Beneath the mustache, is there anything left?
Who knows? There's probably nothing. There's probably no face left. Anyway, we're getting off topic because there is more Princess Bride talk left because we're going to talk about the soundtrack now.
Oh yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, do you want to play us? Let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it. Do you want to play us something? Yeah.
Come, my love,
Mark.
I'll tell you a
Sing
tale
it, Mark.
of a boy and girl and their love story, and how he loved her oh so much, and all the charms she did possess. Now this did happen once upon a time when things were not so complex, and how he worshipped the ground she walked, and when he looked in her eyes he became obsessed.
So this is being sung by Willie
My
DeVille.
love is like a storybook story, but it's as real as the
Wait, this isn't Mark Knopfler singing? What?
No, it's Willie DeVille.
It's funny because it does sound like him though.
It does sound a lot like him.
Yeah.
I always thought it was him until I saw that.
Does he sing at all on the soundtrack?
I don't think so.
Weird.
Let's see here. Yeah, no, he just guitars, it says. But
Really?
this isn't-
I mean,
not
that sounds like
necessarily
his
true.
guitar really very much. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Storybook story.
all right, The Princess Bride by Mark Knopfler.
It's a Knopfman OG track. It's
This
good
is
shit.
yeah, the Knopfman cometh.
It's Bob Dylan's favorite musician from the 80s.
Did he say that?
No, but he produced all his albums in the 80s, and Bob Dylan was trying to sound like him for a while there.
Right. Wait. So, wait. He produced Mark Knopfler produced Bob's albums,
Yeah,
not the other way around.
not the other way around.
I
don't
feel like
think
I would
Bob's-
not want Bob producing my album.
I don't think Bob's much of a producer from.
I
What
don't.
I'm getting.
I assume he would just kind of sit there and be like, "Yeah, I think that's okay."
That's
It's like,
yeah.
anyway,
just make random
Mark-
decisions. Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, Mark Knopfler. For those of you who do not know, most probably well known for being sort of, I guess, the main guy in Dire Straits.
Hells yeah.
You know,
Is it Dire Straits or is it the Dire Straits? Is there?
it's
a
Dire
distinction?
Straits, I believe.
You are right.
Yeah.
It is just Dire Straits.
You know, many of you are probably familiar with the songs Sultans of Swing or
Yeah.
Money for Nothing. You've probably heard them on the radio once or twice.
Yeah, I think I love Dire Straits. I would say that they have 3 songs. They're one of those bands.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think
they're
they have a
good.
lot of good
They're
songs,
good.
but I think the famous, not everybody's familiar with all of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You could put on the record and they'll all be good songs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really funny that Money for Nothing ended up being one of those songs because it's so different from everything they do.
Yeah, that is true.
It's you could hear Money for Nothing and be like, oh yeah, Dire Straits is a real, hard rock band, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd be there's a lot of actually one-hit wonders kind of like that. Not that obviously they're not one-hit wonders, but
Yeah. I mean, they had
Um,
other hits, though, just not that many.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They weren't really a hit band, but they were obviously a huge.
But yeah, Mark Knopfler,
Yeah.
amazing guitar player, really, really creative, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, he produced a lot of stuff, as we said, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Among
He played
others.
guitar on some Bob Dylan stuff as well.
Yeah.
He has a very distinctive voice.
Which
Which
sounds like
you will know if you've heard any Dire Straits songs.
yeah. Well, it sounds like Willie DeVille, apparently.
Yeah, which is funny because I thought that song that we played earlier sounded like Mark Knopfler, but apparently it's not even him, which is weird because he has a distinctive voice.
Yeah, exactly. Storybook Love collaboration with Mark Knopfler.
Right. So, do you want to tell us sort of about how the soundtrack came to be?
Well, basically, Rob Reiner really wanted Mark Knopfler. He was fucking.
So from what I understand, like Rob Reiner, like he was like, yeah, Mark Knopfler is the only person who can do the soundtrack.
Yeah, basically, he was like heart set on him, and he fucking was into it. Luckily.
Yeah. Well, apparently he had seen Spinal Tap, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's true. It's pretty funny. He was like, So yeah, he was like, okay, I'll do it, but on one condition.
Yeah.
The hat from Spinal Tap has to be in it. The hat that you wore in Spinal Tap has to be in the movie somewhere.
Yeah, which is funny because as we mentioned this in the last episode, I think that it was in the kid's bedroom.
It was in Fred Savage's bedroom.
Yeah, what was the character's name? Did we know?
No idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
He might.
Does he even have a name? Let's find out.
Young little boy, grandson might be his name.
Okay, literally he's
grandson.
Just named grandson.
Yeah, well, that's a good first name. Good, solid first name. But yeah, apparently that's where the hat was in the movie. But apparently it wasn't the same one because he couldn't find the same one. So he made a recreation. But apparently Mark Knopfler later, when he was asked about it, he was like, "Oh yeah, I was joking."
Yeah, because I mean, I think the way that Mark Knopfler was thinking about it, like, because he was familiar with the book, was that the whole thing was set in the sort of like fantasy realm.
Yeah.
Whereas the framing device, I believe, was a invention of the film. And
exactly.
I think that maybe that the entire reason was so he could get the hat in there. Also, it was hilarious. And
the entire
you got
reason
to put
that
Peter Falk in there.
The entire reason they created that framing device was to get the hat in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should get one of those hats.
Yeah, it's a good hat.
Yeah.
They made all the C. They turned all the C's into O's.
Yeah.
There's
joke. Only one C.
But yeah, anyway, so the hat was in the movie, and Knopfler did the soundtrack, and
it's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really, really good. The guitar is like one of the most memorable. It's one of the most memorable fucking, like, you could hear that anywhere, and you know what you're hearing. This fucking Princess Bride soundtrack.
And it's like it starts the entire movie too. Like he's not just playing like
it's like it's a score almost.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, yeah, and apparently, well, not apparently, literally. I don't know. I said apparently. Storybook Story, the song we just listened to, was nominated for Best Song
at
an Oscar?
the Academy Awards. Yeah.
Yeah. But it lost to I've Had the Time of My Life.
I mean,
Dirty Dancing. So fair,
that's
I guess.
stiff competition. Yeah.
That is stiff competition. Also, Beverly Hills Cop 2 was nominated.
the two Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Because honestly, if that was Axel F.
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
Stiff.
That's gotta win. Axel F is gonna win hands down. But like Beverly Hills Cop 2, I can't even remember what the song from that movie was.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so yeah, basically, that's the movies were in post-production period here. They apparently nobody knew how to sell the movie though, because it's like what is it, you know?
Yeah, because I was actually thinking about this. What is the genre of this movie?
Exactly. Is it a comedy? Is it a romance? Is it a?
It's an epic
film?
romantic comedy.
It is an epic romantic comedy. It's exactly what it is.
And like, I was
Um,
actually thinking, like, does this count as fantasy? Because there is actually only one real bit of it that is actually fantasy. And I would
that's
say
the fire swamp.
No, I was gonna say when he comes back to life.
Oh, right.
The Miracle Max would be the
Miracle
fantasy
Max.
part of it. Yeah,
The actual miracle there.
yeah. Other than that, like this, like it just takes place in some fictional country.
Yeah, exactly.
In like a long time ago of some indeterminate era.
Exactly.
My
yeah,
guess is like, want to guess the 1400s, but that's just my
I'm sure
observation.
it's not specifically nailed down, but
No,
yeah, that's
exactly.
the vibe you get from
Maybe 1500s.
whole-
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a historian.
the whole situation.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks good. Good costumes.
Yeah. So yeah, they didn't know how to fucking sell it. They didn't know how to market it. So apparently they did basically no marketing. They spent no money on it because they're like, well, we don't know how to do it. How are we gonna spend money?
We don't want to waste this money.
Exactly. And so Rob Reiner was fucking furious. He called 20th Century Fox and yelled at them, which seems like such an un-Rob Reiner thing, but that's how you're successful. I guess you got to be able to call and yell occasionally.
Yeah.
So he called them and yelled, saying he's like, fucking, I don't want this to turn into another Wizard of Oz.
Was Wizard of Oz not successful?
That's the thing, it was super unsuccessful when it came out.
I guess it's
and
just
obviously,
it's been so long ago that
exactly
to me it's
now
just so ingrained in popular culture that it's like oh yeah, everybody knows that movie.
And unfortunately, it kind of did. I mean, not necessarily unfortunately because
well, I mean, the Wizard of Oz. Well, like I was saying, everybody knows the Wizard of Oz.
yeah, but the difference is Wizard of Oz didn't benefit from VHS, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. So, 100%, the first place I saw this movie was on VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
100.
I'm sure you probably saw it the same way. Yeah, I knew a lot of people who had this on video when I was younger.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I feel like everybody had it.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great fucking movie. So, it's got a little bit of stuff for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I was reading that apparently it's the super popular in Utah. The Mormons love it.
Really?
Which is
interesting.
Yeah, interesting. It's just got good values to them. Apparently, they like it. I like what it has to say. Apparently, yeah, they're like the governor of Utah was talking. I forget who they were talking to, but someone who was involved in the film went to Utah and they were talking to the governor or something, and the governor was like, "Fucking, it's like." You'll find a copy of that video in every living room in every home in Utah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Man, you're really fucking obsessed with the Mormons.
No, it just comes up. They just come up a lot. They're around. They're they're
moving on.
There's a lot of stuff about them out there. Yeah, there's a lot of content.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was kind of funny because the VHS release really gave it its fucking it's as we're talking about.
Well,
now.
at least they made their money in the end.
Exactly, and it's funny. Manny Patinkin did call it.
Somebody bought this Laserdisc at some point.
Exactly,
it wasn't cheap.
Well, no,
it was cheap for me. I paid $7 for it. But
but that's different. That's that's the post-consumer.
When it was new, it was probably at least $30.
At least, yeah. That's a premium video right there.
Exactly.
But yeah, Manny Patinkin did call it the Wizard of Oz of our generation, which is funny considering that Rob Reiner didn't want to turn to Wizard of Oz. It did, but at least again benefited. From
I guess
home
that's
video,
okay.
So it's fine. So yeah, it's fine.
Everybody loves the Wizard of Oz.
Exactly, it worked out. It worked out for the best, really.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's basically the film, The Princess Bride.
Okay, I'm gonna work this in right now just because I didn't know we were working anywhere else. But did you know that Peter Falk only has one eye?
What?
Yes.
I did not know that. That's
yeah.
weird. Is it like, I guess he has a glass eye.
He's a glass eye, yeah. It just, you can kind of see it if you look at a
Yeah,
picture
I
of him, that
guess.
one of them is just kind of like, it looks pretty good, I guess, but that one of them kind of doesn't follow the other one, so he looks kind of
Right.
cross-eyed all the time.
Right. Oh yeah, I see that.
But yeah,
glass eyes are a very interesting thing. They're real
Yeah.
art. Like people.
yeah, it looks really good, but yeah, he only has one
Oh,
eye.
Weird.
It's
yeah,
just a
I guess I
weird
can
thing.
see that.
Yeah, and yeah, apparently there was a joke about it in Columbo. Yeah, he doesn't seem very sensitive about it.
No, I mean, I guess it's he's probably had it for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For like a sense of humor.
Sorry?
Yeah, that probably has a sense of humor about it.
Yeah. Well, he's a very funny guy. He's got a sense of
Exactly.
humor about a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so final.
But yeah, I
thoughts?
feel like
What do you-
we didn't talk actually that much about him, but you know, because he
Yeah,
was
well,
just
'cause
in the
it
front
is a
voice.
small
But he
role,
is
but he
hilarious. He's hilarious.
he nails it. He's the perfect fucking mysterious old man energy.
Mm.
Nailed it. But yeah, so final thoughts? Give it to me. Lay them on.
10 out of 10.
What?
10 out of 10. No, 9 out of 10. I can't give it 10
No.
out of 10. I can't give anything
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
It's if I were to give anything out of 10 out of 10, it would be this movie. But I'm not gonna do that because
Because
it's
what?
yeah, you can't give anything a 10 out of
Well,
10.
because once you give it 10 out of 10, you can't go any higher.
Exactly. What if I see a better movie one day?
10.1.
Exactly. The scale just shifts. It goes to 11.
Exactly.
Thank you, Rob, for that joke.
Normalize it.
Exactly. All right,
Yeah.
this is film's a 10. I mean, like I said last
This film's
episode,
just
this
really
is-
fucking good. Everything about it is good. It's hilarious. You know?
This
It's
is- yeah,
hilarious. It's fun. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody. You know? Kids can watch it. Adults can watch it. You know?
Yeah, I could
Good acting.
genuinely plug this or watch this movie and then fucking just put it right back in and watch it again.
Exactly. Amazing.
Yep.
I don't
But,
even know what-
yeah.
I'm just speechless, you know? Like, honestly, like, it, just watch it. You have.
Yeah, if you-
Hopefully you have.
I'm sure at this point anybody who's still listening at this point has watched the movie. And if you
But,
haven't, who are
Yeah,
you?
What the fuck is wrong with you? All right.
But yeah, that's our episode for
let
this
me
week.
sorry.
We
Let me
will-
just quickly. You keep talking.
Yeah, we will be back next week with a brand new film, brand new set of episodes, and we will. We're in the 80s now. We're doing we're trucking along here, so we're beginning the countdown to 100.
The episodes. Yeah, we've done
Yeah,
over 80
episodes.
at this point.
Yeah, we're officially starting the countdown.
Are we? Are we counting down?
Yeah, this is the first one.
Okay, well, we'll let you know when we're at 100. All right, guys. See you next week.
She walked, and when he looked in her eyes, he became obsessed. My love is like a storybook story, but it's as real as the feelings I feel. My love is like a storybook story, but it's as real as the feelings I feel. It's as real as the feelings I feel. This love was stronger than the power so dark a prince could have within